everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to another shelf review. Today we're taking a look at shelf 4E, all the way on the bottom here. Now, I don't put games on these shelves, like I don't put the best games at the top and the worst games at the bottom, but I will say that shelf 4E is a more esoteric shelf, although there are some very, very popular games on this shelf. Although this shelf does have a few popular games that I'm not a huge fan of. But we'll get to those. Let's take a look at the different games here. So first we're starting with the Pursuit of Happiness. Now this is when people say they like the idea of Life, the board game, but they want a better version of it. That's what the Pursuit of Happiness is. The Pursuit of Happiness is a decent game, but it is a tremendously good storytelling game. It is, you go through life, you decide who you're going to marry, what job you're going to get, if you want to marry at all, do you want kids, do you want to pursue a hobby, do you want to, you get to do all this and then you die and you score points for your life at the end. And I find it to be enjoyable. There's just a lot of cool things in the game. Ishtar is a game from Yellow that I've not actually played. This is Z Garcia, but he gave it high marks and most people have. Now, in recent years, Yellow has kind of dipped in the quality of their games. They haven't put out as many good games, but this is one of the better ranked ones. I do want to get this one to the table at some point. Dale of Merchants Collection. Now, this one I'm glad to have in the library. This is a deck builder, and it's actually a pretty small deck builder, but there's 3 versions of it, 1, 2, and 3, and all 3 of those are included here in the collection. And since you can mix and match them, then that works. It's very similar to other deck building games, the Valley of the Kings, which I have the same thing. But Dale of Merchants is a game in which you have these different animals and you mix 5 decks together, and each animal does things a different way and scores a different way. And I find it to be a fast, fun, with really cute artwork deck builder. Bitter Up is one of those games that I don't think a lot of people are going to pull off the shelf, but I have it here because I might pull it off the shelf. It's based on a card game called You're Bluffing, which was extremely popular in Germany for many years. Not nearly as popular now, but that's it. It's a bidding auction game. What Bitter Up does is it lets you have different types of auctions, but you're always kind of bluffing other people. There's a lot of zero cards floating around, and you're trying to slough those off into other people's hands. It's very entertaining and fun. K2 is a game about climbing mountains. Now, this one has a sequel, Everest, I believe. I think K2 is the only one that made the Dice Tower library. Some of them are going to be liked by people better than others, and I think K2 is the most popular one. Rebel makes very thematic Euro games in my experience, and while this one isn't like super thematic, it's pretty strong, and so I can see why a lot of people like it. Monsterlands is a really unusual game. It's sort of cooperative thematically wise, as these monsters are coming in and attacking, and you are defending against them, working together. There is a lot going on in this game. It has a lot of artwork, a lot of cool things. I really highly recommend this one. It's a neat idea, and there's a bit of a rules overhead as you learn how all the different monsters work, and there's a lot of you're placing dice in this game and where you place them. Are you going to decide to go fight monsters? Are you going to build up? How do you do that? A lot of cool things worth checking out. Istanbul Big Box, which is normal size, but that's fine by me. Istanbul, a game that won the Kenner Spiel, very popular game. For me, there's a few other games that have surpassed it, and if I want to play this style of game, but I get why people like this one. This one gets pulled off the shelf more often than not. So, and of course the big box adding more extra stuff in there. I've upgraded this one a little bit. XCOM, the board game. Now this one I think has had one of the biggest drops of all the games in my collection. When this came out, we're very excited. Eric Lang, the designer, cooperative game, works with an app. You don't need the app, but you can use an app with it. And of course, the amazing theme of XCOM. The problem is it takes a very big view of the XCOM universe. Most of XCOM is small, micro view. There's macro view in it, of course, but you are defending against the aliens as they come into base. That's in this game, but it's kind of really parsed down. It's also incredibly difficult to the point where I don't believe I've ever won this game. And all those features mixed together makes me wonder if this one will get played very often, if at all. Then we have Ex Libris, which is one of 2 games about building a library of books from Renegade Game, a fantasy library. Now, I like Ex Libris because I like the book titles. There a lot of effort was put into those, and it's a good, solid worker placement game. There are some usability issues with it, for sure. Trying to read everything and see all the different things on the board, but it is cool, and I'm curious if the new library game from Renegade is going to kind of, I don't know, eat away at the success of this one or not. It's just kind of weird that there's 2 of these games in existence. But that being said, I think Ex Libris is a really solid game worth checking out. Next to that is Lewis and Clark. I hate Lewis and Clark, but I am alone in that one. Most people do enjoy this game. My copy is highly upgraded. There's a lot of cool pieces in there, but this is a racing game that follows the travels of Lewis and Clark. Or is this, wait, this is Lewis and Clark, The Expedition. Is this the dice game? Am I mixing them up? Let's take a look and see. We can pull it off the shelf. Nope, this is the one I hate. This is the original game. The dice game I like a lot, but this game, like I said, even though I'm not a big fan of it, I do realize that there are people who enjoy the game. Next to it's the Big Score. So the Big Score from Van Ryder Games is kind of an Ocean's 11 game where you're all robbing at the same time. It's a game that has 2 very distinct halves, and that's a little wonky to teach people. I mean, one of my favorite games, For Sale, does the same thing. I like the Big Score. The box is maybe a little bigger than it needs to be overall, but I think it's a solid game. I do wonder if anyone's going to play it, if it's going to get pulled off the shelf. I hope so. Last 2 games here are very different. We have Heroes of Dominaria, which is the Magic the Gathering board game. And it actually, I think, plays really well. It's nothing like Magic the Gathering, other than that there's 5 types of mana, and you collect mana, and many of the characters, you'll recognize the characters and stuff. But I think it's a really solid game that's enjoyable. I believe we played a live version of this game on the channel that you could watch. Just a lot of fun. I think it's good and worth keeping. Container, and this is the new, overly produced one from Mercury Games. I mean, it has, I think it's hilarious that one of the heaviest Euro games in existence has some of the biggest, chunkiest plastic miniatures for gamers who complained about big, chunky plastic miniatures in Ameritrash games. But that being said, Container's another game I really, really hate. But I know people enjoy the game. It is a game in which players are, you are selling resources, putting them on container ships. Oddly enough, considering how big of a deal container ships have turned out to be in the year 2021 when I'm recording this. But you put them on container ships, and then you're selling, and those container ships then sell to the ports. So you're kind of selling to someone else who then sells back to you. And I found it all to be kind of too heady for me. But again, a lot of people really enjoy it, so that's why it's in the library. So if I take a look here at the games in this shelf, this is a hard one for me to pick my favorite here. I want to say it's probably Bitter Up. I think it's such a unique, clever little game. Not so little, I guess, but it's a clever game, and I think it's worth trying out. What's your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been taking a look at another shelf in the Dice Tower Library.